Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sahil Prajapati, senior software engineer at Scriptbox, and I think so. It's the last talk of the day. I think so. You still have the energy left to like just go through this last slide, last talk. So let's get started with that. So today, basically, I'm going to talk about how we ship things faster at Scriptbox. And like you might think that this talk is not related to React, but like all like JavaScript or Node-based projects, they have CI/CD. So this like talk will basically help you in improving your pipeline times if you're using GitLab, or you will even be able to draw parallels between any other code management tool that you use. So let's get started. So I want to start basically what all is there in a node-based project. I'm not going in like detail. I just want to mention the things which are going to be like useful for this talk. So what's there in a node-based project? There are a lot of packages, and then we have like some linter configuration which runs in your local or in the pipeline. Then we have let's say code coverage or specs which you write, which runs in your CI or in local. And then there are build scripts and some scripts which sync assets. And then we have few scripts written basically to deploy our code to production staging or UAT environment. So let's talk about packages. Like, why have I mentioned packages in this list? So a package basically it helps you to basically add a feature or a functionality which you wanted in your project, and let's say you did not wanted it to create it from scratch. So this definitely helps you in that. But what happens is once your project starts growing, 2 or let's say 3, 4 or 5 years down the line, you have a lot of packages. And what happens with that is let's say whenever you do package install using yarn or npm, the time taken for installing the packages freshly in your machine, it goes up, like it becomes very high. But you won't notice this problem in a new project. So like we'll talk about how we handled all these things in the upcoming slides. So let's go to the next thing which I listed earlier, which was linter. So it's basically the first line of defense in a project. It helps you to basically capture any typos or any coding style format which you have defined for your project in the company is not followed. So all these things are basically captured in the beginning itself. And this is basically like this is usually the first step in a CI. And then the next thing is code coverage or specs or tests. Each one of us like we have it in our projects, and like when the project starts, the specs are few, but as the features or functionalities are added, again the time taken to run these specs it increases a lot. And this is basically the second step in our pipeline, a second defense mechanism that we have, so that if there were any errors or logical errors that were created by the developers, it does not get pushed into production. The next thing is build. So what build is responsible for is basically bundling your entire JavaScript, CSS, or let's say assets that you have into deployable code. And because even assets gets generated during build time, let's say if you use Webpack or Gulp or any other tool, like you might be syncing those to S3 or some other place where you can access them in your client. And even here the same problem happens, that as the code size increases, like the build time goes up very high. We might be like, we all do code splitting and chunking, but that is for the client side. But what about the development side or deployment side of our project? So that is what we want to tackle over here. So like I have been talking about CI, like I mentioned pipeline, CI, and CD till now, but basically what is that? So CI CD, it stands for continuous integration or continuous deployment. So it's a very common term which is used in software production, and basically it's a software delivery pipeline that produces uh, like releasable code from your source code in a fast, automated, and reproducible manner. And this design process is basically known as continuous uh, deployment. And then what is continuous integration? So the process that kicks off the pipeline is known as continuous integration. So you would have seen whenever you merge a branch, or let's say you push some code, uh, basically the pipeline starts running. So CI/CD is, it's basically depending on these four basic concepts, which is releasing, like doing frequent releases, and like automated ones which can be repeated, and they like fairly, like they take less amount of time. So that is our goal basically, to so that the pipeline takes very less amount of time. And like how does a typical CI/CD pipeline look like? So now we have like seen all the pieces. We have linter, specs, build, and a deployment. So how do all of these pieces fit together? So a typical pipeline will look something like this, and they are in sequence, so the other step basically cannot run before the other one. This ensures that if something breaks early in the pipeline, the next step does not get triggered. So we at Scriptbox, we use GitLab CI/CD, and like we have these four stages in our pipeline. There are like few more which I have not mentioned. Let's say like automation. So I'm skipping that. And the other thing that we use in GitLab is basically GitLab caching. So now, because I've spoken about GitLab caching, so let's see what is GitLab caching. So what it does is it basically speeds up the time that is taken by the job for execution by reusing the basically by reusing the content that was generated in the previous job. And like why this is important is because in our node based projects, what we do is whenever we are doing linting or doing a build step, or let's say we are running specs, what we do is we try to install the packages from the internet, and these steps, they get repeated again and again. So it is important that a caching mechanism is there. And what GitLab does is it allows you to share these cache between the pipelines and jobs and different branches that are there in your project. So like now, as I have basically outlined what a basic CI/CD looks like and what are the steps there in that. So let's talk about the like challenges that we faced at Scriptbox for our node-based applications. So like early on when the project started, we did not face any issues. The deployment time was very less, and we were happy about that. But like soon we started realizing that as the code base was increasing, the time taken to deploy was increasing a lot. So I've listed down like few problems which we faced. So I've already mentioned like our code base increase, which increased the time taken by each step in a pipeline. Let's say linter or spec or build, all these steps, they started taking more and more amount of time, and it was taking anywhere from 35 to 40 minutes from the first step till the last step. And you can imagine that if it takes around 40 minutes for you to like wait for deployment, what is going to happen is if you have a major hotfix or a feature that you wanted to make live, there is a delay, and which is not appreciable. And the next problem that we had was in each project you will have a lot of assets, and they keep on increasing with time. So We had around 700 plus assets, which included images, like some JavaScript libraries or bundles, fonts, and few other items. And uploading them to S3 was basically taking a lot of time. And like we could have increased the resources, but then that would have like not been the right approach. So this is a like screenshot which I have shown how a GitLab CI will look like. This is basically a pipeline, and the green tick marks over here show that the step is successful, and then it moves on to the next step. So let's start by basically breaking down lint and test step that we have. So in order to like solve the problems, we had to dissect it, and this is how it looked like. So let's say during lint, the steps that used to run were these: the repo, it used to get cloned, and then the cache was extracted, and then the new packages were installed, and finally the step which we actually wanted to run, which is yarn lint, that used to run. And at the end of the job, we used to upload the cache. So this was taking, let's say, around 10 minutes. And if you look at the test job, you can see there are the same steps which were there in the lint job. The only difference that you see is yarn test. So if you look at the first series of steps, right, in lint, you can see that 99% of the time is taken for doing something which we did not wanted to do. We wanted yarn lint to learn, means run, but more than 99% of the time was consumed by other steps. And similarly, even in our test job, around 77% of time it just went in doing the same step. And the specs, they actually took just 3 minutes. So we wanted to reduce this. So we finally narrowed down to these four problems, and we knew that if we could tackle these four problems, it was like going to reduce the pipeline time by a lot. So the first problem that we had was like we were extracting the packages, and then we were pushing the packages at the end of each job, which you can see over here, that the job starts by extracting the cache, which is used for yarn install. And once the job is done, which was basically yarn lint, sorry, we upload the cache. And then the package installation time was higher. It was taking around 1.5 minutes per step, which I have shown over here, which is like 90 seconds. And even this time will keep on increasing as we add more number of packages to it. The third problem that we identified was basically we were updating the cache almost all of the time. So let's say you push a commit to GitLab, it's going to trigger a pipeline, and in that pipeline you're going to do these same steps again. So the cache will be extracted and it will be re-uploaded again. And this was happening for each and every commit that was pushed in any of the branches in that project. So which was like an overkill, and a lot of resources were getting used for that. And the last problem which we identified was asset sync, because it was taking around 10 minutes, which was not good. And even this time was increasing as we started adding more and more assets. So let's see how we tackled it. So the first step to improve the pipeline time was basically remove unwanted cache upload operations. And this is something which gets missed by a lot of developers who are using GitLab, because it's there deep down in the GitLab CI documentation. So this the property which basically helped us in eliminating this problem, it is known as policy. So what it does is it is responsible for the cache being like downloaded into your job, and then at the end of the job it re-uploads the cache, which can be reused in any other job that you have. So in our case, let's say we wanted to use yarn cache, so which was getting reused by each of our jobs. And by default, what GitLab CI does is it enables pull push policy. So each pipeline is going to do a pull and push of cache, and it has three options basically, which is pull. What it does is it pulls the cache, and the other one is push. Let's say if you just want to push the cache and not extract any cache in your job, and the last one is pull push. So what we did was we changed the policy to pull. Like doing that alone reduced the time for us by almost 6 minutes. Like as I had shown you in the earlier slide, uploading cache was taking around 360 seconds, which is 6 minutes in each job. So we started like avoiding doing updating the cache, which was not needed over here, because this job was actually not changing the cache at all, which was our yarn cache. So what was the result? Basically, earlier this job was taking 10 to like 11 minutes, and at the end of doing this change, what happened was because we were not uploading anything, so the time reduced to just 3.5 minutes for our lint job. So let's go to the second problem. So we wanted to reduce the high installation time that we had. So let's say I'll just show you a small example. So this is a project which like where I had already done yarn install, and let's say even in our CI, right, before we do lint or do webpack build, we have to do yarn install so that all the libraries are available. So let me just do a yarn install, and the node modules basically they are already present over here. So you can see that it just took this much amount of time, but this does not happen in a CI because it tries to install everything from scratch. So let's say I'll try to mimic the behavior of a CI. So the CI will not have node modules folder.
Sahil, can you increase the font size?
Okay, sure. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay. So now I have removed node modules, and now this is exactly like our CI pipeline. So now if I do yarn install, you see that it tries to basically download the packages from internet, and then it tries to build them and finally put it inside our node modules folder. So this takes time. So it took around 15.63 seconds, wherein when the node modules was present, it was taking just like half a second. So we tried, like we created two branches. We wanted to see the behavior of caching yarn cache and node modules folder. And we wanted to see which one was giving better results. So when we cached yarn cache, it did not help us at all because it still had to recreate that node modules folder, and the build times were not improved. But when we tried caching node modules folder itself, we saw that the installation time was reduced by almost, let's say, 99%, which is what I had just shown you now. So you can see that earlier it was taking around 3 minutes when we were caching, we were using yarn cache, but when we switched to caching node modules, the time taken, it just reduced to mere 3 seconds. And so let's go to the other problem. So the other thing which we wanted to do was update the cache only when needed. So even now, uh, because like we created a basically node module cache, it was still running for all of our pipelines. We wanted to basically reduce the frequencies of that. So what we did was we moved this whole logic of cache creation and updation to a separate job, and we called it cache node modules. And like this was possible basically by using GitLab's changes property. So what it does is you can specify a file name, so what it does is it will try to generate, let's say, MD5 hash for that. And if in your second commit, let's say if the hash of this file changes, it is going to run this cache creation job. And if there is no change detected in this file, it is not going to rerun this job. So if you're using Yarn basically for installing packages, Yarn lock is the file which changes whenever you add or bump up a package. So that's why we have mentioned Yarn lock in the changes property over here. And we also wanted to do it only for a master branch, because we realized that we were not adding packages like very often. So the need for rerunning this job was actually not needed. So we limited it to master branch and only whenever the yarn lock file was changing. So how this helped us was basically for, let's say, 90% of the times there was no need for this job to run, which helped us in saving the time by not uploading or extracting the cache. So this helped us in saving almost 8 minutes. So you can see, like, only whenever you add a new package, there is like time of 8 minutes which gets added, and if there is no change, basically this gets completely skipped. And like, this is the last problem which we wanted to tackle over here, which was speeding up our asset sync, and like this was taking a lot of time. So the problems that we faced here was it was taking 10 minutes to sync each object, or let's say file, one by one to S3, and there were like more than 700 assets. Even though the file size was not much, but still it was consuming a lot of time. So we wanted to solve this issue. So what we did was we tried basically zipping the assets. So as you would have seen in AWS CloudFront, what it does is it has an option wherein you can serve gzip assets to your client, which is your browser, and then that uncompresses it and uses it. So that way the delivery is like much faster. So what we did was we zipped the entire assets directory into a single file, and then we pushed it to S3, which is basically the simple storage service offered by AWS. But as soon as we did that, we hit a blocker, which was S3 does not know how to unzip basically a zip file or a zip object. So we started looking like further. We wanted a tool which could help us unzip the folder in our S3 bucket. So like we came across AWS Lambda. So uh, as you can see the definition over here, it's a serverless compute service that runs your code in response to events and automatically manages the underlying compute resources for you. So I've highlighted the important part in green over here, which is it runs your code in response to events. So the next step for us was to basically write AWS like Lambda function, which will basically help us in running that code in response to an event. So we started basically by creating a Lambda function. I'll just show you like how it can be created. It is basically very simple. So you just have to click on services and you can search for Lambda, which is over here. And you can give your function name. And then you can select a runtime environment for running this function. So let's say I've selected Python over here, and then you can click on create function. It's taking a bit of a time. Let me just reload and see. So I'm again naming it as extractor. I'm selecting Python over here. Yeah, so basically on the next step, what will happen is we will have to select the target, and the target is basically going to be our like simple storage service. So I think so because this was already created, it went into this page. But so that page is going to look something like this, which says add a trigger. So here what you can do is you can select S3, and then it will give you an option to select the bucket, uh, which like for which you want to like for which this service should listen. And once you select the bucket, you can select what type of events it should listen to, and then you also have an option of adding a prefix or a suffix. So what we did over here was we added a suffix which was .zip. So what is going to happen is whenever a zip file is uploaded, it is going to listen to these type of events. So for your testing, you can just enable all events, but ideally you can just select the put event from this drop down. And once you do that, it is basically going to take you to this page wherein it will ask you to add a function. So what I have done here is, let me just zoom in. So this is a like script written in Python. What it does is whenever a zip file is uploaded to S3, that event is triggered, and that event it triggers this method which starts extracting that zip file. And I've added some code basically which like rewrites the metadata of some of the files, and then it basically starts keeping all these extracted files into the like predefined directory. And at the end of this job, what it does is it deletes the zip folder which was created. So this is how a Lambda function gets created. So if we want to just like see what this process looks like is we zip the assets, which takes around 1 second in our CI, and then uploading all the assets to S3. Now it takes just 3 seconds compared to earlier 10 minutes. And then the Lambda function, it gets triggered, and as soon as it gets triggered, it unzips all the assets, and it just takes around 40 seconds. So if you add up this time, it takes less than a minute. And if you see the older time where it was taking 10 minutes per deployment, we managed to save around 9 minutes over here. So like now we should like now there are like no more steps which I want to talk about. I just want to talk about what are the final results and how this helped us in improving our pipeline runtime. So earlier, let's say linting was taking 10 minutes, specs were taking 13, build and sync, they were taking 12, deploy was taking 2 minutes, and then the total time, it was around 37 minutes. And depending on the availability of the GitLab runner, what will happen is sometimes it will even go up to 40, 45 minutes. And after doing this whole exercise, the result was something like this. So linting was taking just 3.5 minutes. Spec time, it got reduced to 5.5 minutes. Uh, the build time, it got reduced by almost 9 minutes because of the improvements that were done for sync job. And the deployment time remains the same. And the total time, it came down to basically just 13 minutes. So now because of this, like we are able to ship features or any bug fixes or improvements that we have much faster. And even the developers, they don't have to wait let's say for half an hour or 45 minutes for their let's say PRs or MRs to get merged. So like one more thing which we did recently, I've not added over here. It's like all these things, they were done in a Node 8 environment, a Node 8 engine which we were using. But when we moved to Node 12, basically the time of 13 minutes, it just became half, and now it just takes 7 minutes or 6 minutes for us to ship features to production. So I hope like you'll be able to correlate this or map to like any of the CI tool that you use, or even if you're using GitLab and if you had missed something, I think so this will definitely help you out. And like do let me know if like I could have improved something or I could have done something better. Yeah, and like you can even ask me doubts if you have.